Imagine you're the captain of a German U-boat in the middle of the Atlantic, deep into World War II. Your mission? Sink Allied ships. You've been submerged for hours, maybe days, hunting in the dark, silent depth. The air is thick, the crew is on edge, and every ping of the sonar sends a shiver down your spine. But now, it's time to surface. You need to recharge your batteries, get fresh air, and take your bearings. The order is given, and the U-boat begins its ascent. Water rushes past the hull as you rise from the abyss. Finally, you break the surface, and the hatch is thrown open. You climb out onto the conning tower, expecting to see a vast, empty expanse of ocean, maybe a lone merchant ship on the horizon if you're lucky. But what you see instead is a nightmare. The sky isn't empty. It's full of planes. And the horizon isn't empty either. It's packed with warships. You've surfaced in the absolute worst place imaginable, the very center of an American hunter-killer group. This isn't a story from a movie. This actually happened to Captain Lieutenant Helmer Rathke, commander of U-352, on my Nueve 1942. His story is a jaw-dropping tale of bad luck, desperation, and the brutal reality of the Battle of the Atlantic. How did he end up in this impossible situation? And what happened next when he was staring down the guns of an entire naval task force? To understand Rathke's predicament, we need to rewind a bit. By 1942, the U-boat war was in full swing. German submarines, the infamous wolf packs, were wreaking havoc on Allied shipping, threatening to starve Britain into submission. In response, the United States, now fully in the war, ramped up its anti-submarine efforts. They developed new tactics, new technologies, and a new type of warship that would become the U-boat's deadliest enemy, the Escort carrier. These weren't the massive fleet carriers you might be thinking of. Escort carriers, nicknamed Jeep carriers or baby flat tops, were smaller, slower, and built on merchant ship hulls. They were cheap and could be produced quickly, but what they lacked in size, they made up for in purpose. Each one carried a squadron of aircraft specifically designed for hunting submarines. They were the heart of what the Allies called hunter-killer groups, a carrier and its screen of destroyer escorts, whose sole job was to proactively hunt down and destroy U-boats rather than just defending convoys. This brings us back to Helmut Rathke, U-352. He was on his very first war patrol as a commander, operating off the coast of North Carolina, a hunting ground known as Torpedo Junction for its heavy ship traffic. On that fateful morning of May 9th, Rathke believed he had a fat target in his sights, a lone freighter. He maneuvered his boat for the attack, raised his periscope for a final look, and fired a torpedo. But he had made a catastrophic mistake. The ship wasn't a freighter. It was the U.S. Coast Guard cutter Icarus, a vessel specifically designed for anti-submarine warfare. The Icarus spotted the torpedo track and immediately went on the offensive. A barrage of depth charges rained down around U-352. The explosions rocked the submarine, knocking out lights, breaking gauges, and sending the crew flying. The boat was severely damaged. Rathke knew staying submerged was a death sentence. His only chance, however slim, was to surface and fight it out with his deck gun. It was a desperate gamble. He gave the order. Surface. The damaged U-boat clawed its way back to the daylight. As Rathke emerged onto the bridge, the shock must have been immense. He hadn't just surfaced next to the Icarus. He had surfaced in the middle of Task Group 21.12, one of the brand-new American hunter-killer groups. The sky was buzzing with aircraft from the escort carrier USS Bogue. On the horizon, he could see the Bogue itself, along with its escorting destroyers. He hadn't stumbled upon one enemy. He'd surfaced in the middle of an entire hornet's nest. The Icarus, seeing the U-boat surface, opened fire with its main guns. Simultaneously, the aircraft circling overhead swooped in for the kill. There was no escape. Rathke's crew scrambled to man their deck gun, but it was a futile gesture against the overwhelming firepower they faced. The U-boat was being torn apart by shells and machine gun fire. Realizing the situation was hopeless, Rathke gave his final order. Abandon ship. Scuttle the boat. The crew began to bail out, jumping into the churning, oil-slicked water as their submarine, U-352 slipped beneath the waves for the last time. The battle was over in minutes. Rathke 32 of his crewmen were pulled from the water by the Icarus, becoming prisoners of war. 13 of his men did not survive. Rathke had been a U-boat commander on the front lines for less than a day of actual combat. His first and only torpedo attack was a complete misidentification that led to the swift destruction of his boat and the end of his command. The story of U-352 is a stark illustration of how quickly the tide was turning in the Battle of the Atlantic. The era of the lone wolf U-boat, picking off undefended merchants, was coming to an end. The industrial might of the United States, symbolized by the mass-produced escort carriers, was creating a new and lethal environment for the U-boat crews. These hunter-killer groups could roam the Atlantic, actively seeking out submarines and denying them the vast, empty ocean they needed to hide in. Surfacing to recharge batteries, once a routine procedure, became a life-or-death gamble. For Helmut Rathke, he rolled the dice and lost in the most spectacular way possible. The wreck of U-352 was discovered in 1975 off the coast of North Carolina. Today, it rests in about 115 feet of water and is a popular dive site. It serves as a silent, underwater monument to a single moment of shocking surprise and the brutal efficiency of naval warfare. It's a reminder that in war, a simple mistake, a single miscalculation, can lead you to surface from the dark, quiet depths straight into a sky full of enemies. Thanks for watching. If you found this piece of naval history fascinating, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more stories from the wars that shaped our world. Let us know in the comments what other incredible war stories you'd like to see covered. See you next time.